So, this is where I start talking about the problems of the DES that led to the creation of the Warriors Lawyer, right? You have these great attorneys that are assigned by the military. I used to be one. They're really great. They are dedicated. They know their job. They know all the ins and outs. But they are fighting in a system that Congress created, 2008, the IDES. But when Congress created it in 2008, then they kind of stepped back and away from it and said, okay, now military, you go ahead and implement this plan. So I guess, like you've gone to the grocery store and you've picked up your favorite box of cereal and you've been like, wow, this one feels light. And then you're like, well, I'll just grab the next one, right? You reach behind it and that one feels light too. And you realize, wait a minute, it's the same size box. It's the same parameters, but there's less cereal in there. Right? Or does anyone remember, their favorite bar of soap? They get it out of the same box, but the bar of soap that's in the box is smaller now, right? So they just sort of chip away at it until you're getting a lot less than you should, or less than you thought you were going to do. And that's what happens here, right? The military has progressively, over time, left to their own devices. You have this big establishment of rights that the military was handed. All right, these are the rights of your service members. And then Congress got distracted by other stuff, and the military said, well, we're going to reach over here when no one's looking, and we're going to take 2 days of their timeline. And up here, we're going to grab one appeal right, and we're going to take that away. And down here, we're going to grab something else. And pretty soon, they keep working around the edges, and this big thing of rights that they had gets whittled down to like this. And it's because it's the military system. They're playing with house money. And the attorneys, the big limitation for those attorneys is that not only can't they go into federal court for these people, right? Their clients, they can't represent their clients in federal court against the government. But the other thing is that when that service member gets out, if they got a bad result in the disability evaluation system, they now want to continue to argue their case. But the moment that they leave the military, and by the way, there goes their paycheck, that's the exact same moment that the military has taken away access to their free lawyer. So now that they can no longer pay for a lawyer, they suddenly have to pay for a lawyer, right? So, how fair does that seem? And what's more, you think about your average E3, E5, something like that, even, 0102. The amount of money, demographically, we're not talking about, the super wealthy that are coming into the military. Sometimes they do, but by and large, it's ordinary people. And to take a case to the Board for Correction of Military Records, or for the Department of the Navy, the Board for Correction of Naval Records, most attorneys out there are taking about $10,000 to do that. And it's just a paper drill. They just write something up and they pass it in, and they never actually go argue a case in person, and it takes years, and that's $10,000. So find that corporal somewhere that has an extra 10 grand to spend at the moment that they just got thrown out of the military without all of their benefits, with disabilities, while they're trying to raise their family and find work that they can do with the disabilities they've got, right? Do you have $10,000 extra at that moment? And if they want it, then after a couple of years, when BCNR comes back and doesn't deliver the benefits to them, because you have to understand this too, the Board for Correction of Naval Records, or military records for the Department of the Army and the Air Force, they bring in a panel of people who are not judges. They're not lawyers. They're not specially trained. They're just volunteers from the Department of whichever branch it happens to be. So the Department of the Navy has people that say, yeah, I'll be on the BCNR if you ever need me. Maybe they're an admin person or a data person for their computer sections. And they'll get a call and say, yep, hey, come in next week. So their employer, the Department of the Navy, sets them down in an office owned by the Department of the Navy and says, hey, this person here says we're all wrong, and we'd like you to decide this case. By the way, since you're not lawyers and since you're not doctors, we'll provide you with access as you make your decision to doctors and lawyers from the Department of the Navy. Right? They don't get to talk to the lawyers and the doctors from the service member. They talk to the Department of the Navy lawyers and doctors, right? So very often the case comes back, go figure, in favor of the Department of the Navy or the Department of the Army, Department of the Air Force. So then if they want to fight that, they have to hire an attorney and spend typically about another $40,000 and another several years. So you could be looking at 8 to 10 years of litigation between the BCNR and the federal court system. And again, these are the people who probably didn't have the extra $10,000 when they got cast out without their benefits, without et cetera. So how often do you suppose that happens, right? I mean, it's just about never. And the trouble here is that Congress and the military, they view silence as satisfaction. Hey, these corporals aren't suing us in court. We're not losing, so everything must be fine, right? Wrong, but that's how it's interpreted. So, this made me angry. And while I was doing this, I did this for 7 years, both on active duty and as a Department of the Navy attorney. And I just kept seeing these people. Off they'd go, and there's nothing they can do. And you can look at them. You know, they've got 2 or 3 kids. They don't have a college degree, and they've got PTSD and photophobia, and they're going to need all kinds of accommodation. And you're trying to tell them, well, maybe you can find a good lawyer for 40 grand. You know. So I founded the Warriors Lawyer.